The OECD also points to one of the other issues, not just insolvencies, but another way on the outlook is the China relationship. How much is at stake in getting that back on track, back on an even keel?
Well, China's our number one trading partner. It's worth more than $200 billion a year in terms of its two-way trading relationship, and it has increased substantially under us. That being said, it's no secret, Kieran, there are some challenges in that relationship. There are some difficulties on the trade front. That might be an understatement. They're significant and they're serious. Now, we would like to work through those on a bilateral level, but if that's not possible, we retain the options to use multilateral forums.
But do you need to react?
It is a significant relationship.
Do you need to react to wolf warrior diplomacy? That's what it's called. The Chinese are not great at soft power, are they? I mean, their diplomacy is something, obviously, for a great power that is lacking. Do we need to react to the wolf warrior sort of diplomacy with emotion and outrage, or do you just let it slide?
If you're talking about that doctored photo, then that was hugely insulting and completely unnecessary. So the Prime Minister was absolutely right to speak very strongly about that.
It was reprehensible, but is the Prime Minister the one that needs to do it? I mean, it was reprehensible, it was disgraceful. I mean, everyone agrees with that, but is it the PM that needs to respond to a mid-ranking official?
Well, again, as the leader of our country, he speaks for our nation, and you would find it hard to find somebody across the country who wasn't offended by that, and particularly the insult to our armed forces as well. That being said, the Chinese have put out a list of 14 grievances, and those grievances list everything from our free press to our democratically elected parliament. And whether it's decisions around foreign investment, whether it's decisions around national security, whether it's decisions around foreign interference, we'll take those in the national interest.
That makes sense.
And you wouldn't expect us to walk back from that.
No one would expect us to walk back from that. But as the former Prime Minister Kevin Rudd says, should we be doing more and speaking less? Because that's all in the national interest, you're right, and we should definitely be doing that, have security agencies managing all that stuff where needed. But by the same token, it's also in our national interest to keep our largest trading partner on an even keel in terms of that relationship. That's also in our national interest.
But those issues that I just raised with you, free press, democratically elected parliament, foreign investment, national security, foreign interference, all of those issues are really important to Australia, and some of those issues go to the heart of our identity, let alone to the heart of our national security. And so therefore we're going to continue to defend those national interests, and that will be a consistent and clear position from the Australian government.
But does there come a time where you need to ignore the inflammatory messages, if not to just simply not amplify that sort of thing?
We would like to engage in a mutually beneficial and respectful dialogue with our Chinese counterparts, but to date that has not occurred.
One final question goes to comments by Governor Lowe today. He praised the New South Wales government for its reforms in terms of stamp duty. Can we expect any reform from the federal government in May, or will you maintain a less ambitious strategy?
Well, firstly, Governor Lowe has spoken very favourably about the government's economic response and our economic policy, and he has praised it as being the right policy. With respect to the most recent budget, it was a budget for the times. The economy had been hit by the biggest economic shock since the Great Depression, and there was obviously new support to get people into work, like the JobMaker hiring credit. But there was also big incentives to encourage more investment, to get a private sector-led recovery. See, one of the key differences between us and, dare I say it, our political opponents, is we don't see government as the solution. We see government as a catalyst for that solution. The private sector can help lead this recovery, and that's why we put in place a series of incentives to encourage them to hire, to innovate, to invest and to grow. Now, with respect to the reforms that we've already outlined, whether it's on insolvency, whether it's responsible lending, whether it's in superannuation, these are very significant reforms that were in this year's budget. When it comes to the tax cuts, yes, we brought forward by 2 years stage 2, but at the heart of those tax cuts, which we've legislated through the Parliament, which the Labor Party seem to be walking away from, is the abolition of a whole tax bracket and having one single tax bracket at 30 cents in the dollar between $45,000 and $200,000, where the bulk of Australian workers will be, Kieran. Now, that strengthening of our tax system will not only make it better and fairer, but it will encourage aspiration and reward for effort, and that goes to the heart of the Coalition's philosophy.
Treasurer, appreciate it, as always. Thanks.
Good to be with you.